Hi everybody, today we're going to make this tiny little envelope and pop a little card inside. I just love these snowflakes for collaging with, and I just quite fancied making an envelope. I love a little bit of folding and tiny little things, as you know. Now, I've not stuck this to anything because there's a couple of things you can do with it. So I made this size so it fits in the tiny tin. So if you want to decorate your tin and pop a gift in there, you might want to pop your little envelope in as well with a greeting inside. Or you might just want to gift wrap the tin with something inside and have a matching card size to go with it. But the other thing you can do is put it on a card. So if you decorate a card with a little bit of collage, you could glue that on there, and then you've got a card in a card, as it were. You could make this into, this is currently a card, but you could put more pieces of paper in there, stitch or staple it at the side, and then you've got a little book. And I really like that greeting of Christmas blessings, because if you wanted, you could make that tiny little book and put some actual blessings in there, which I thought was rather a cute idea. So we're going to make this little envelope. You'll need a square piece of paper. Now this is just copier paper. It's not value copier paper. It's not the cheapest in the supermarket. It's probably about the next level up, maybe. It's just any old copier paper that's not the cheapest. So we'll have a little play, but I tend to use copier paper to lean on when I'm stamping. I'm not today, so that you can see the white against. I've got some cream cartridge paper under here, just so that you can see the paper, otherwise it might disappear. So what I'm going to do is use a box, an acrylic lid, because I don't have a mat. You can use a mat if you want to do this. I'm going to use Distress Oxides to colour my paper. I've got Uncharted Marinette and Peacock Feathers, but any blues or any colours you want to be using are fine. And I'm just going to squidge them on my box. You can do, like I said, you can do this on a craft mat. You can do it on, if you've got a big acrylic block, anything plasticky basically. Then spritz it with a bit of water. And I also added a bit of spring moss when I did the sample, because it gave it a bit of sparkle basically. So I can just dip my piece of paper in there. There we go. And I'm going to dry that side with my heat tool. I can see a little bit of that glitter already. I don't know if you can on the camera. Maybe not. And you can colour your paper any way you like. You could use a stencil brush, you could use a gel plate. You might have coloured paper around and about in your craft space already. This is how I fancy doing it today. So there we go, that's one side. I'm going to do the other side as well, because we see both sides of this paper. Put my box back. And dip it in the other side. And because we're using the same colours, it doesn't matter if some of it comes over. Now you're actually only going to see the top of this other side, so I'm not going to worry about the rest. Grab my heat gun. And there we go. make sure it's properly dry, because we're going to be folding this paper anyway, and it's not dry, you're going to rip it, because as we said, it's just copy paper. Okay, so that's nice and dry now, and it's this corner that's got the most colour on, so that's going to be that piece of envelope that we see when we open it up. Now the nice thing about this fold is you don't have to do any measuring. We're just going to pop a ruler. You see that? There we go. Pop a ruler from corner to corner and just make a line roughly in the middle, and then again corner to corner. Okay, so I've got a cross, and that's where we're going to fold the points to when we're ready. Now on the inside of this, I've done quite a contrast to the outside, so that you can just give a bit of variety really, and I really like that contrast. So inside I've used the mainly a text, so I've used some of the signs from the last release, because I really like the tiny font that you get there. You can't really read it, but it just gives that texture. And then contrasted that with this release's seasonal words, which are really big and chunky, and so you've got a contrast between the big and the small text. And then on the other side, I filled it with snowflakes. Not quite sure where you're going to put the name for the recipient on there. I'll have to make sure that if it's going in a tin, leave a little bit of a gap. So that's the plan. I'm going to fold this in, so I know where I'm stamping. So I'm folding, I've got my paper almost like a diamond shape, and I'm going to fold that point to the very centre of that pencil cross on that side, and the other side meets by the pencil cross there. And then this bit I can make however big or small I want it to, but this is going to fit in this tin, so it needs to be around there, about that size. If you want to know exactly, I'll find the ruler. It's 4.5 centimeters, and then this point here, I'm just going to fold it this way so I know where I want it to be. So I've lined it up with these two folds coming in, although it doesn't matter if it's a bit lower than that. I'm going to flip it over. I've got almost an envelope now. I'm not very good at folding straight lines, so I got my ruler here, just laid it at the top of each of those folds, give it a little rub there, and then that will fold down and seal. Okay, so I'm going to open it up and we'll do the inside bit first. I've used a few VersaFine Clairs with this project. I've got Charming Pink, some pink snowflakes on the other side, Twilight, and Warm Breeze. I felt like the Twilight and the Warm Breeze went well with those two blues we've got there, so that's why I picked those. Okie doke, find a sign. There we are, and I'm not picking out the name or the date on there. I'm just collecting a bit of ink, bending my stamp so I'm not getting the whole of it. Stamp it down on my under paper, because I don't want it to be very dark when I go on here. And what I wanted particularly was this small text round this edge. It's a bit like coming in with your stencil brush, which I will do as well. It gives a bit of, it pulls it in, defines it. So there we go, that's that one. Let's find peace from the new seasonal words. And let's not get this one. An acrylic block full of all my stamps that I'm going to be using in this project. Get this Christmas blessings off here. There we go. Peace. I'm going to do that with Warm Breeze. Ink that up. Oh, I've stamped that off camera just to make it a bit lighter, but I think actually we'll be okay with having the darker version on there. There we go. Pop Warm Breeze away. And I will get my stencil brush and use peacock feathers. Bash my camera at the same time just to add some colour to that edge. So when this folds in, it's going to be quite a contrast on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over and add some snowflakes. I'm using both sizes of snowflakes, the large and the small, for this one. The detail on these is quite incredible. They're so fine, and the VersaFine Claire just pulls out that detail. Yes, this time I'm going to remember and leave a little bit of space for the name. You have to imagine Christmas music while we're doing this. YouTube doesn't like it when you add music, but put some on in the background when you're making yours. It's another snowflake here. Let's use the Warm Breeze for this one. Overlap it a little bit. And then I'm going to use one of the small ones, the Charming Pink. So pretty. I love the way this one curves and looks like it's made up of leaves. And just add that to the collage. Now I've just done this on a small piece of paper, but if you're making a few of these, then you could just do the whole sheet of A4 and cut it up as you need it to make what you want. There we go. Let's fold it in and have a look. Yes, we've got space this time for the recipient's name. Put it on my ink pad. There we go. And then the other thing I added again was some of this tiny text from one of the signs, any of the signs that you've got, and any text that you have is absolutely fine. It's just adding a bit of texture. There we go. So we've got texture from all that inkiness that we made with the Distress Oxides earlier, and hints of glitter from the Spring Moss Mist Spray. And then we've added another layer with the snowflakes and that fragments of that stamp. I'm going to edge that with Uncharted Mariner. Clean off my brush. And just come around those edges just to darken it. I'll give that contrast on the other side in a minute. There you go. And then when we fold this, it's going to be like this. So I want some of this to be inked as well. I'm just going to do that this way. And there we go. Nice quick little envelope. I'm going to turn this card over. You can see it a bit clearer. So we just need to dab a bit of glue on to keep it stuck together on the edges there. There we go. And there's our envelope. Now I just used some, I've got so many little bits and pieces of card that are cut off. They're either from demoing or at a time when I'll make a load of card to use as background. So I've just got this out of my stash. This is Dinkles through a stencil. So this is just a small piece of card. So to make that fit, I think it was 8 centimetres by 5.5, if I remember rightly. Yeah, 8 by 5.5 folded will fit into here. So here's a piece I cut earlier from a bigger square where I'd sprinkled something. It's Brusho or Dinkles, it's one of the two. They all go in the same box after demo days, so I should have kept them separate when the Dinkles came out. There we go. But what I liked about this was that white edge at the top. Just gave it a bit of space, white space. So again, I'm just going to add a snowflake. Let's use this small one this time. And a warm breeze, I think. Put that there. And again, that text from one of the signs. Just in small little patches on there. And then peace is too big a word to put on here, but thankfully joy is short. Or you could use Noel, I guess. I rather liked joy. I'm going to do that with the dark blue. I'll put over here, Twilight. Ink that up. Pop it in the corner. Oh, sorry. It was slightly off edge there, and now I've bashed the camera. I think we'll go for that peacock feathers again around the edges, just to define it. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. Pop it in the corner. And then we'll go for that peacock feathers again around the edges, just to define it. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and then on slightly. So coming off the paper, and less likely to get these kind of lumpy lines. You're just kind of kissing the edge. There we go. Now, it's got a little bit of inky splatter from previous things I've done. So what I did with this one, because of that, I just popped some paper inside. And then on the back, if you want to make that look intentional, as it were, I often do like a little mini collage. Make it look like I meant it to be there. There we go. Might pop a word on there in a minute. This word in here, perhaps I could do that now. I added from Wishing You Peace, and I just grabbed one of the Zig Clean colour pens, whichever, it doesn't matter which colour you choose yourself, but if you colour it in like that, let me just show you. Stamp it down. You've just got the word. Let's put that on the back. There we go. So that is going to go in there, and that's particular. I really like that. I like the amount of white space contrasts really nicely with that card. And then I'll show you how I did the stamping on this to make it go on a greetings card. That clean space didn't last long, did it? I know that if I'm using a white card, I need to have space, have a clean area underneath. So again, just grabbing that sign and Warm Breeze. Let's get a bit of ink on, and I'll grab my envelope so I know roughly where I want some of that text to be. The nice thing on this one, this is Lustrians, tells you are amazing in there. And then add a seasonal word. And I'm going to stamp that one off, so we've got a second generation, and then keep stamping. Again, just brings that texture in. I might want a bit more under there actually. Let's go back and add a bit more. Down at the bottom here. Okay, and then in the darker ink, Twilight. Twilight's lovely. It's one of those colours, if you don't quite want black, just a softer colour. And we'll pop that in there. There we go, Christmas blessings. And let's actually glue this one on. Oh no, that's the envelope I'm not going to glue on, because that's the envelope that will work really well in the tin. So we'll glue this one on and not worry about the fact that we added lots of stamping on the back that we won't see. Right in the middle there. And whichever card we choose can go inside, and it could be peeping out like that. or it could be tucked inside. If you wanted to, you could put a little seal on there. Where's the tin gone? And that one fits inside the tin that's yet to be decorated. So there we go, a little origami envelope with a little card to go inside. Hope you have a go. Let me know if you do, and have a good Christmas when it comes. Bye.